approach that pivotal time in every new business where you have to decide to keep going or quit, I asked myself, why did I leave behind a fruitful career I enjoyed and excelled in? The answer surprised me a bit. To have the experiences that required surrender, to embrace the unknown at a deeper level, to allow the challenge of the journey to open me more to the divine.
You've entered into the world of alternate realities. Here, paradigms are shifted, minds are blown, and veils are lifted. Actual supernatural experiences are brought to life through storytelling by the people who experience them. Welcome to Adventures in Mysticism with Leah Grant, where the esoteric is explored and consciousness is expanded. Visit adventuresinmysticism.com to further your spiritual development through Leah's latest offerings. And now we continue with this episode's mystical adventure.
Welcome to a special episode of Adventures in Mysticism. This week, the Soul Biz book launched, and in one day, it became a #1 international bestseller. I am a contributing author. You might expect that I shared one of my personal stories of interactions with interdimensional beings, or a spooky paranormal story, or perhaps even highlighted one of my supernatural talents. But I didn't pick any of those. What I was drawn to write about is how opening a purpose-based business is a soul initiation. Really, it's many, many initiations sewn together. These aren't formal, recognized initiations. In fact, many take place late at night when you are sacrificing sleep for getting a contract out to a new client, or recording your podcast, or on the side of a stage dealing with your newly revealed fear of being seen before they call your name to come out and give a presentation. They are the moments the ego is overruled so that you can live more deeply as who you truly are. I believe we are all immortal consciousnesses. The reason we are here on Earth, I'm not so clear about. Some days, I think we come here to have a vacation from eternal bliss and oneness. We come to experience duality. Other days, I think we volunteered to come here to bring the light to a dark planet. Ultimately, I'm not sure why we are part of this existence. What I feel certain about, though, is that death as humans definitely isn't the end. I do laugh at that belief, though, because if I die and it is the end, then, well, from ashes to ashes and dust to dust, and there will be none of me anyway to know that I was wrong. But I digress. Back to business, soul business. When the world isn't providing an intense enough or interesting enough or customized enough development plan for our soul, I think we create those experiences in a number of ways. One being by starting a business. There's a lot I could talk about with regards to this concept, and perhaps someday I will do a program about it if there's enough interest. In my soul book contribution, though, I touch on the high points of how a business serves us by having each letter in the word soul stand for one of the key items that contribute to a purpose-based business, being a soul initiation. Let me read my contribution to you. SOUL, business initiation. After 20 years as a coach, I've seen some things. A reoccurring theme is people who want to start a business that makes their soul sing. It's a beautiful intention. I've learned it's also a calling to step more fully onto your spiritual path. Here are 4 spiritual lessons I encountered transitioning from a successful executive coach to a spiritual guide. S is for surrendering. Most of us go into situations with preconceived notions. Despite life giving us examples, things don't work the way we think they should. We continue to forge ahead, believing our vision is the way it will be. I had this idea that since I had a huge flow of steady clients as a business and marketing coach, and I understood the ins and outs of being a solopreneur, that switching to something that represented more of my multidimensional self and reflected my true essence would immediately attract a similar waitlist only business. It did not. When I made the announcement of my change, 3/4 of my email list unsubscribed. No one seeking spiritual guidance had heard of me. I didn't have the testimonials, the media mentions, or a reputation in the spiritual community. I went from being known to my old target audience to being invisible to my new one. When I realized the truth and consequences of my choice, I applied spiritual lesson 1 and surrendered to the fact I was starting all over. Spiritual surrender is about having an awareness of the truth, acknowledging that what is being experienced is for a purpose, even if you can't see what that is in the moment, and asking your higher power for guidance, which I did. And that's when the idea for my podcast, Adventures in Mysticism, appeared. O is for openness. As I navigated representing myself differently as a spiritual guide, I kept bumping into how my old ways of doing things limited me. Being in business for a few decades gave me a lot of experiences that I translated into valuable wisdom and restrictive habits. I coach highly successful financial advisors and teams. There is a hierarchy there and lots of industry compliance. Oftentimes, there's only 1 or 2 ways to acceptably do things. In the spirit realm, the possibilities are infinite. Whereas before, I would have to think of creative ways for my clients to be able to market themselves, there were now no boundaries. And I mean, none. If I wanted to walk naked through Burning Man proclaiming I was a spiritual guide, that would be totally acceptable. Being open became a gateway to connect with my soul more. Spiritual oneness is connecting to the sovereign part of yourself that's completely free from programming and expectations and lives in the moment. Coming from this place, a fashion photographer friend of mine, Lizzie Rose, offered to take new headshots for me. Instead of going with a traditional formal headshot, I asked her to bring in her hair and makeup girl. The makeup artist painted my face with my newly chosen brand colors, glittered and rhinestoned me. The photographer and I then drove out to the dry lake bed, and she encouraged me to be uninhibited. An afternoon of wardrobe changes and playing in the dust yielded half the photos on my website. Breaking brand rules, another friend took the other website photos, which have a different vibe. 2 image types reflect my multidimensionality. The positive feedback I get on those photos from my website visitors inspires me to be even more open. U is for unknown. I soft launched as a spiritual guide in 2018, which is when I learned that my current audience wasn't going to make the transition with me, and I was in uncharted territory. I'd been a voracious consumer of spiritual retreats, readings, and programs, but this was my first time being on the other side. I spent 2019 transitioning and testing out various approaches and was feeling more confident that I understood my focus and direction. In early 2020, I attended 3 back-to-back in-person events to unveil my new self and business direction. It was a little rocky, and I was frustrated. I still hadn't found my sweet spot. Lockdown was announced on the last day of the 3rd event. Navigating the unknown became a lesson for everyone. And for those of us in business, it was amplified. In spirituality, the unknown is the mystery. So much is unseen that embracing the unknown is about having trust and faith without proof. The ultimate awareness around this lesson is that you never even knew what was going to happen. You just lulled yourself into a false sense of security. After March of 2020, that luxury was no longer available. The extended lockdown ruined my primary plan for attracting new clients, which included in-person networking and live speaking. Embracing the unknown in my business has meant letting go of the previous plans gracefully, trusting, pausing, taking the time to deal with some family issues that arose, and then acting when I got guidance. The message was to host a virtual workshop for those doing the energetic planetary shift work called Spiritually Architect the Future, to cultivate the co-creator within to design a positive, high-frequency future. I embraced more unknowns to me, booking speakers, working with a production company, writing sales pages, and coming up with promo copy. L is for love. Most of us who choose to open a soul business do so because we want to love what we do and who we work with. Yet spiritually grasping the concept and expansiveness of love is so much more than that. Spiritual love is a powerful force of nature that comes in many forms and expressions. We have access to it in every moment, as long as we are connected to our heart. Around the end of 2021, I realized that I had embarked on a quest to create a soul business, but I wasn't doing it from a place of love. I had gotten too in my head, and I can tell you that creating a soulful business from your head doesn't work. Coming back to creating with love meant forgiving myself for not knowing how to nail my spiritual brand right out of the gate. It meant getting to a place of loving it all, no matter what. I'm still working on that. Soul business initiation. As I approach that pivotal time in every new business where you have to decide to keep going or quit, I asked myself, why did I leave behind a fruitful career I enjoyed and excelled in? The answer surprised me a bit. To have the experiences that required surrender, to embrace the unknown at a deeper level, to allow the challenge of the journey to open me even more to the divine. In this moment, I realized that I chose to transition into a soul business, not just because I was called, but because I was subconsciously creating a spiritual development program for myself. I'd given myself a soul business initiation, and now I've activated myself to be a more powerful spiritual guide for those feeling called to be spiritual leaders. That contribution joins those of 20 plus other authors who shared their wisdom about owning and running a soul business. My story is still unfolding. Yours may just be beginning. The book is available on Amazon, and if you purchase and then go to www.soulbizbook.com before July 20th, 2022, and enter your receipt number, you will receive access to a number of bonus meditations, checklists, and other goodies as a thank you for your purchase. Thank you for tuning into this week's special Soul Biz book episode. Next episode, I'll share my adventures with animal totems. Until then, remember that your spiritual journey is a supernatural adventure in and of itself. Enjoy the unfolding and embrace the unknown.